आ गए सभी, तो चलो शुरू करते हैं आज का गेम। Welcome to another video of online classes at home. In today's video, we will discuss a very beautiful poem, A Tiger in the Zoo. Let's get started with the poem. This poem contrasts a tiger in the zoo with the tiger in its natural habitat. In this poem, we will get to know that what are the different situations in which a tiger is in a zoo and in another situation a tiger which is in its natural habitat. So what will be his movements or what will be his characteristics in those situations. The poem moves from the zoo to the jungle and back again to the zoo. Read the poem silently once and say which stanzas speak about the tiger in the zoo and which ones speak about the tiger in the jungle. So firstly, we will move from the zoo to the jungle and then back again to the zoo. And we will discuss that which stanzas are about the tiger in the zoo and which ones are about the tiger in the jungle. So let's get started with the poem. He stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. So in this stanza, the poet says that the tiger is confined in the zoo and he moves around the cage under his very bright colored skin, which is made up of stripes. So he also says that he only takes a few steps because the size of the cage is very small. So he is not comfortable to move in it. So one cannot hear his footsteps also because his feet are made up of very velvet like pads and those are very soft. So there is no sound of his walking in the cage. So the poet says that he walks on the pads of velvet quiet. In his quiet rage. His rage is very quiet as described by the poet because he is very angry but he cannot show it on others. So he just walks around because he is not free, he is confined to a cage. So he just walks around in the cage and he is very quiet in his small confined environment. In the next stanza, he should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where plump deer pass. So the first stanza was about the zoo. He was in a zoo. The second stanza is that the situation where the tiger is in the jungle. So the poet describes that how would he be in a jungle. So if tiger was free, he would have hid himself behind the long grass near the water bodies so that he could easily catch a deer in order to have it as its food. So plump means a very fat or chubby deer, you can say. So he should be walking in shadows and hiding himself in grass, in long grass, so that he could hunt a deer or other animals. So basically the poet wants to say that actually the actual life of tiger is to live in a jungle and he could be himself there. So he could catch his prey, eat it and do anything he wants. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. So in the third stanza, the poet says that if he presents another view that if the tiger was free, then he would have snarled around the houses. Snarling means to make a very growling sound and to scare people or scare other animals. So the poet says that if he was free, then he would have snarled around houses and which were located at the outskirts of the forest. Outskirts of the forest means the edges of the forest. So he would terrorize people with his sharp tooth and claws and he would terrorize people with his growling and his roars. So this would create fear among the people living in the village. He would create the fear for which he is born. He is born to create fear and his nature is to create fear. So in the fourth stanza, but he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. So the second and third stanza were about the tiger being free. When he would have, if he would have been free, then he would terrorize people in the village. He would have snarled around houses, hid in the grass, and he would do whatever he can. But now he is locked in a concrete cell. Concrete means a cell, a room, small room, which is made up of cement or stones. So the poet comes to reality of the tiger that he is inside the cage and is confined to a strong cell which is made up of strong building material. He also says that the tiger is behind bars. So his ferociousness is also behind the bar. His strength is also behind the bars. So he does not want to bother anyone, or he does not want to terrorize the people who are in the zoo to look at him. So he just wants that he should be left alone all by himself. For the next stanza, he hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So it's just that in his cage, he just wants to be by himself because he cannot do anything. So the poet says that in the night the tiger only hears the sound of patrolling cars, and if he would have been in the jungle, he would have experienced a very lot of different sounds. But in this cage, in this particular cage, in this area, he just hears the sound of patrolling cars. Patrolling cars are those vehicles of police which are used to guard at night. So in the night the tiger hears the sound of only these cars. He then stares to the shining stars with his shining eyes. The poet wants to say that the tiger is sad and he is confined in his cage, so he cannot do anything. So he just stares in the night, in the dark night, in the blackness of the night, and he just tries to divert his thoughts towards them because he is locked down in a very strong cell and he cannot move around. He just has a few steps of which he stalks every day, but he cannot do anything else. So it discusses the plight of the animals which are in the zoo, and अक्सर यही होता है कि हम हमेशा जानवरों को इस तरीके से मानते हैं कि वो एक ज़ू में रहें तो अच्छा है और ताकि हम उन्हें देख सकें. बट एक्चुअल में ज़ू कोई एक ऐसी जगह नहीं है जहाँ पर हम जानवरों को रखें. जानवरों की उनकी जो नेचुरल हैबिटेट है उन्हें वहीं रखा जाना चाहिए. So the main central idea of the poem is that every animal should be kept in his natural habitat, and he should also be given the right to be free in his life. So like the poet, I am also using the word he or his here because in the poem the poet has used personification as a poetic device. So now we will take a look at what are the rhyming scheme and the poetic devices used in this poem. So first of all, we will talk about the rhyming scheme of the poem. Rhyming scheme tells about the structure of the rhyme of the poem, and it is denoted by specific letters such as A, B, C and D. राइमिंग स्कीम में हम सबसे पहले ये देखते हैं कि किसी भी स्टेंजा में जो लाइंस हैं उसके लास्ट का जो वर्ड है वो हर स्टेंजा में किस तरह से मिलता है और कौन सी लाइन किस लाइन के साथ राइम करती है. सो इन द पोएम ही स्टॉक्स इन हिज विविड स्ट्राइप्स द फ्यू स्टेप्स ऑफ हिज केज ऑन पैड्स ऑफ वेलवेट क्वाइट इन हिज क्वाइट रेज. सो इस स्टेंजा के अंदर we can see that the first line word is stripes. We will see only the ending word. The first line में last word है stripes, second line में last word है cage, third line में last word है quiet and fourth में है rage. So we can see that second and fourth line जो है वो आपस में rhyme कर रही है. stripes और quiet आपस में rhyme नहीं कर रहे हैं. तो इसीलिए स्ट्राइप्स को मैं एक लेटर दूंगा ए, केज के लिए मैं दूंगा बी। क्वाइट इन दोनों में से किसी के साथ भी राइम नहीं कर रहा है, इसलिए मैं इसे तीसरा एक अलग लेटर दूंगा सी। बट जो रेज है वो केज के साथ राइम कर रहा है, तो इस वजह से केज का जो लेटर दिया गया है, जो असाइन किया गया है, वही लेटर रेज के लिए भी असाइन होगा। तो पोएम की राइमिंग स्कीम किस तरह से हो जाती है? स्ट्राइप्स के लिए ए, केज बी, क्वाइट सी एंड रेज इज ऑल्सो बी। So the rhyming scheme of the poem is A B C B. Okay, understood? तो rhyming scheme हम किस तरह से find out करते हैं? किसी भी stanza की lines के last के जो words हैं, we take them and try to find out the which words are rhyming with each other. So we can see this in the whole poem. For example, take stanza 2. The first line ending word is shadow. Second line grass, third hole, and fourth is pass. So grass and pass are rhyming with each other, but shadow and hole are not rhyming with each other. So that is why the rhyming scheme of the whole poem is A B C B. So coming to the poetic devices of the poem, the poet has used a lot of different poetic devices in the poem to make it very beautiful and very charming. So as I mentioned earlier, the first poetic device used is personification, that he has used tiger as a person in the poem, and he expresses and depicts about his feelings about how he feels in a cage and how he would feel in a jungle. So likewise, he has used many other poetic devices such as alliteration, assonance, consonance, onomatopoeia, and of course metaphor also. So let us take a look and try to find out different poetic devices of the poem. So in the first stanza, he stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. So in this stanza, the first is personification. He is used as the personification poetic device for the tiger. After that, assonance is also used. What is assonance? Assonance क्या होता है कि if the vowels are used continuously in a line in nearby words, then it is known as assonance. So in the first line, in his vivid stripes, so in all these four words there is I, which whose sound can be heard. So assonance is there in the stanza. Likewise, we also have a metaphor here, and that velvet. So poet क्या करते हैं? Poet टाइगर के जो feet हैं वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा सॉफ्ट हैं और आराम से वो सॉफ्टली क्वाइटली चलता है केज में, तो उसके लिए पोइट ने मेटाफोर यूज़ किया है वेलवेट को. वेलवेट, एज आई टोल्ड यू अर्लियर, दैट इट इज़ अ टाइप ऑफ वेरी सॉफ्ट फैब्रिक. So he uses this metaphor for the tiger's feet. उसके बाद लास्ट लाइन में है क्वाइट रेज. क्वाइट रेज इज़ अ काइंड ऑफ ऑक्सीमोरन पोएटिक डिवाइस. ऑक्सीमोरन का मतलब है कि when there are two words which are almost opposite in meaning but used for describing a particular feeling of the person. So in the next stanza, he should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. In this stanza, we can also see consonants. Consonants as in the words sliding, grass, pass, shadow, should. इन सब वर्ड्स के अंदर जो मेन कॉन्सोनेंट्स पोएटिक डिवाइस है वो किस वजह से है कि वहाँ पर एक कॉन्सोनेंट का जो साउंड है वो प्रोमिनेंट है. So the sound of S is prominent in these words. So the poetic device is consonants here. उसके बाद we can see that lurking in shadow, lurking can be associated with the tiger of hiding in the grass. So it is also a kind of poetic device which uses movements of the tiger. In the next stanza, we can see that most of the poetic devices are repeating themselves. So he should be snarling around houses. In should and snarling, there is alliteration, of course. The letters, the sound are very same. And of course, then terrorizing the. So the sound of T is same in terrorizing and the. Afterwards, we can also see the consonants again in houses, snarling, fangs, claws. Okay, so there are a lot of poetic devices which are repeating themselves. So poet has used many poetic devices which can be seen in every stanza, and you can identify them using the particular definition of the poetic devices. So students, I hope you have all understood the poem and you will find out other poetic devices used in the poem. So that was the poem A Tiger in a Zoo. Thanks for joining me today. We will meet in the next class. Till then, be safe.